Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Sloan, and I'm here with another interesting episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And my guest today is Marc Cashman. And boy, is he someone making a difference. Marc is one of the few people in the commercial production business on both sides of the glass as an award-winning radio and TV commercial producer, as well as a working voice actor. Have you always dreamed of being a voice actor? I hadn't heard of it till I met Marc, but it sounds interesting. Vice President of Cashman Commercials, Marc creates and produces music and copy advertising for radio, TV, and internet, and has won over 150 advertising awards. So blame him for all those ads, including the prestigious Clio on behalf of hundreds of ad agencies and clients across the country. Voted one of the best voices of the year. Now you listen carefully because you'll get to hear his voice soon. By Audiophile magazine 3 times and an Audie winner. Marc is a veteran voice actor with over 40 years of studio experience in radio, TV, and internet commercials, foreign film dubbing, animated series, video games, and narrating over 200 audiobooks. Author of one of the best-selling books on voice acting, B-OH, B-O, Tips, Tricks, Tools, and Techniques to Start and Sustain Your Voiceover Career. Marc is currently represented by numerous talent agencies around the country. In addition to his production schedule, Marc has taught undergrads and graduate students of USC, UCLA, and California Institute of the Arts, and instructs voice acting of all levels through his classes, through the Cashman Cache of Voice Acting Techniques in LA. He also coaches voice actors worldwide, produces VO demos, and pens online columns for Backstage. Marc is also a guest speaker at advertising clubs and broadcasters associations throughout the US and other countries, and has been a keynote speaker or masterclass instructor at Voice 2008, 2010, 2012, and 2014. VO Atlanta 2013, VO Mastery 2017, BD VOCon 2018 and 19, and VoiceCon 2021. He's been interviewed in dozens of newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, and internet podcasts. I'm grateful for your presence.
And I'm grateful for your invitation.
So exactly what would you like to let people know about what you do and how you do it?
Well, for those people who have heard the term voiceover, the term refers to the spoken word that is heard for all commercials that you see on TV and promos and trailers. There are also the voices for cartoons. There are also the voices for video games. There are also the voices for, obviously, audiobooks and a lot of non-broadcast things like e-learning modules and explainer videos and documentary narration and corporate narration. So basically, everything that you hear when you hear somebody's voice, that is the industry that I've been in for 44 years. And I work with voice actors all over the world on all sorts of projects, broadcast, non-broadcast. And the amazing thing is that voices have been surrounding us really since the dawn of radio, when radio came into existence and we first heard voices on the air through our radio broadcasts. And that has only expanded over the past 100+ years.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's interesting. You know, I have, my husband actually has a best friend whose daughter does voiceovers for a show. I think it's called My Little Pony or something. I think it's no longer on the air, but it was on the air for a long time. And she was the voice. And apparently she went to some of their get-togethers, you know, and she was just swarmed by people. giving her money, and she walked out of there with all this cash. She was shocked, like, oh my goodness. So voiceover is definitely an interesting business to be in.
Well, yes, it's basically, again, there are four primary areas of acting: stage, on camera, microphone, and there's a kind of a fourth limbo area called puppetry. But those are basically the four main areas of acting. And again, the microphone again picks up, basically encompasses everything you hear on the air. All the spoken words that you hear on the air is all microphone platform versus stage, live theater, live audience platform versus on camera, not live audience, because there is no audience. And then of course puppetry, which is mainly involved with actors not being seen but being represented by their little characters. And of course, most of the time their audience is not adults, they're children. Truthfully, I think that's probably the most fun of all of them, only because you always have a built-in audience whenever you're talking to little ones. They're appreciative no matter what you do. And it's just, you always have a great response from a group of kids when you're doing puppetry. You're not ever sure what you're going to get when all the other platforms on there, but for kids, you can always pretty much rest assured you're going to get a great response.
Oh, that's so great, because I think that, you're right. Dealing with kids, I mean, it's totally fun. They're totally open. They're just there to have a good time. So if you want to have a good time, they're there with you.
That's right. They don't judge. They don't judge.
So what would you say to someone who might want to vaguely explore this whole topic of becoming a voiceover actor?
Well, actually, that's a great idea to explore it, not to jump into the deep end of the pool and commit to it before you know anything. Explore it. And the beauty of it is now with the internet, you have access to hundreds and hundreds of really top notch instructors. And if you want to explore voiceover, there are a million different ways to do that. But it's open. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be a very closed kind of a club. People say, how do you break into voiceover? Well, voiceover really broke open. The industry really broke open once the internet came along, because that connected people all around the world. And so the curtain has been basically pulled back little by little by little. And so now anybody who wants to dive in and explore, as you said, voiceover can. They can audit a class, they can take a workshop, they can listen in and see if they like it. You can go and taste all these different things and then see what you like and see if this is something that you can do.
So you would just conduct a search on Google and ask for voiceover classes or something like that?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, if you Google voiceover classes, you will come up with 100 pages.
Oh my gosh.
Easily. Oh, easily. Absolutely. Go ahead and do it right now. You'll see. You'll come up literally with 100 pages. But the smarter thing to do is, as always, whenever you're interested in doing anything, is to do research, is to do your homework, is to not just click on something, go, oh, that's good, and follow that, and then do it. Do your homework. Do your research. If you're interested, if you see some people that you think you want to study with, check them out. See what they've done. Make it, see if you can find any other people, talk to any other people who have worked with them. One of the great things about the internet is now, if you have any interest in a particular thing, whether it's butterflies or voiceover, it doesn't really matter. You can go on Facebook or LinkedIn and find groups dedicated to that specific topic. Well, the best thing is that you would join one of those groups, and then you put in a question. Hey, has anybody ever studied with this person? Has anybody ever taken that course? Has anybody ever wanted to do, well, how do you do this? And so you reach out to other people in the group, they give you input, and you slowly start to build up your information in terms of how you're going to decide what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, who you're going to do it with, and all that stuff. Homework, research. Don't just dive in. I've worked with thousands of people, and many of them are refugees from, oh, I jumped into this school of voice acting and I regret it. I gave this person $10,000 and I got nothing for it, et cetera. You know, a lot of, the sad stories there. So the object lesson is simple: do your homework, do
Do
your
you have
research.
a group either on LinkedIn or Facebook or
No, I don't, only because I
time?
just the only reason is I mean, no. I've got a page on LinkedIn, I've got a page on Facebook, but I don't have any groups, only because I just don't have time. I don't have enough time in the day. I lobbied Congress for one extra day a month. That's all I'm asking for, and I've gotten no response from
Oh,
them
I can't
whatsoever.
believe that.
I can't understand it. I don't understand it. I've just but no, I
Day a
um
month.
yes, I know, I know. Believe me, I'd love more, but I figured I wasn't asking for much, but I still didn't get any response. That said, I'm very, very lucky. I'm not complaining that my days are full. I've been juggling things since I started working, and but I like it that way. It's fun. It's different. Every day is different. Every day is different. Every day I wake up and I never know. I know certain things that are going to happen because they're scheduled, but the rest of the day, I don't know what's going to happen, and anything can happen. And so many, I can't tell you how many days, Mary, that all of a sudden something happens. They go, "Oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is great. Oh, I never expected this to happen." That's one of the That's one of the great things that happens when you're a performer. When you're a performer, you're like an itinerant traveler going from place to place to place, and you're just having little experiences and little adventures all along the way. And you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so every day you wake up saying, "Oh boy, what's going to happen today?" That's the life of a performer.
Well, you obviously love it, and
Oh yeah.
that's amazing. And so, I think people that love the life they're living, they are truly blessed because they don't work a day in their life. And they, just, oh, yay, another day. And, you hear this, some of these people who get up and it's not a oh yay another day, and you feel badly for them because I'm pretty inspired every day. I do a lot of different things, not on the voiceover category, but there's always something new on the internet or something new in the tech world or something
Hmm.
new that you want to look at. And it's an exciting world because the internet is evolving and everything is just evolving all the time.
All the
And
time.
if you get caught up in something like that, it's a great life.
Well, I've always thought, and this is, I don't have any statistics to back this up. It's just a perception, but I've always perceived that about 75% of the people in the entire world do what they have to do for a living. What they have to do, not what they like to do, not what they love to do, but what they have to do. And they pretty much stay that way for the rest of their lives. I think that another, 15% of people do what they like to do. Maybe 20% do what they like to do for a living. And then I think about 5% of the people in the world do what they love to do. And I've always wanted to be in the 5% club, always, because as you said, when you love what you do, everything becomes a labor of love. It's not a day of work. Yes, there are things you need to do and have to do, but I guess I'm the proof in the pudding, so to speak. I started doing this 44 years ago. I love it more now than I did then. After 44 years, I'm not burned out at all. In fact, it's propelled me. It's gotten me more interested, more creative, more involved, and so I got lucky. But I think that's because I prioritized decades ago that I always wanted to be in the 5% club, and I would do anything to make sure that I would do that. that's purely a matter of just, well, tenacity.
Well, part of it is knowing what you want to do.
Yes,
So
yes,
many
yes,
people really don't know what they want
yes.
to do,
That's
and
exactly
they've
right.
never actually had an opportunity to discover that, which
Yes,
is unfortunate
it
because
is.
they've lived life out of what they perceived as a necessity
Mhm.
instead of out of as an opportunity, which is
Yes,
that's it's not that much fun to live life
right.
that way.
Right. And not everybody also, has the means to decide, okay, well, I'm just going to do this. Their circumstances may not allow them to do that. I My other perception about humanity and life in general is that uh, if we're lucky, we'll spend our 20s, the third decade of our life, figuring out. Most people in their 20s who really want something out of life, by the time they are done with their third decade, they figured out what they don't want to do, which is good. They spend their 20s figuring out what they don't want to do. And then hopefully by their 30s and 40s have found what they do want to do. And then spend their 40s, 50s, and 60s doing that so that they can easily retire in their 70s if they want to, and and know that they did something that they love doing, which is
Well,
great.
and I think that you are seeing some of those people, or a lot of people who don't want to retire,
Yes.
like, wha-
Like me,
what's the
like
point of
you.
retiring?
Well, I always joke, retire from what?
Yeah,
What
from
are you retiring from? Right, exactly. From doing what you love? You're retiring from doing what you love to do? Have you ever seen a concert violinist retire?
no,
Have you ever seen a soprano singer retire? Have you ever have very
voices retire, I understand.
the only actors I've ever seen retire were those who needed to retire because either had, early onset Alzheimer's, or they had some physical things that prevented them from doing that. Or if they just decided, I've had enough of the industry. I'm done. I'm out, stuff like that. But most actors will act until they fall over. And I joke about that. I say that as well. I say, I will work until I fall over, until my head is on this desk in my studio and I fall over.
And I can't get it up
And I
anymore.
and I'm that's I'm pretty I at least I hope that I go that way, only because I'll been doing what I love to do.
That's pretty great. So, is there a favorite part of your job that you like to do even more than other parts?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hmm. Boy, I think it's like having kids. You don't have a favorite. You like each one for their own, different reasons, but you love them equally because they're your kids. So so teaching and coaching and being an instructor, I love that because I get to see people grow and learn and apply and just love what they're doing, and really really and inspire, and I actually sometimes actually inspire somebody, which is the whole reason that I do this. So the teaching thing, I love doing that. Acting, I'm still a working voice actor, and I do different projects every week, and so I'll go from audiobooks to commercials to narration to video games to whatever the case may be. So I always love that because I get to take my producer hat off and just be an actor.
And
I like
somebody else has to worry about being the producer.
That's right. Exactly. I get to take my producer hat off and just take direction and just be an actor, just be an actor. And so that's a ton of fun. Um, I've finished one book and I'm working on the middle of my second book. So I really, really enjoy writing, and that's just a ton of fun. Um, so every day, and I love producing demos for people, particularly my students who I've worked with over months and months and months, getting them ready to put their VO demo together. So I love producing demos as well on the production side. I like them all equally, just different.
What about narrating books? I mean, that's something that I see a lot of people thinking about going into.
Yes.
And is that a fun occupation, or is that a little, I don't know what.
Audiobooks, audi- audiobooks are the only thing in publishing that have been growing every single year. Virtually every year, there's been double-digit growth in audiobooks and audiobook production and audiobook people buying audiobooks. The largest part of publishing. Less books are being printed, more books are being going into audio and being downloaded digitally. And I know a number of people who are making six figures just doing audiobooks 5 days a week in their home studio. And they're loving it. And there's always work out there because there's always writers out there. There are always books out there. And now there are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of audiobook publishers. And if anybody wanted to be involved in audiobook narration, this is the golden age of audiobook narration.
Yeah. So is that something that you really enjoy, or is that just kind of like, well, I enjoy it, but it's not my favorite?
I will tell you this, that it just depends upon what it is you're narrating.
Okay.
But yes, again, it's work, it's performance. You are performing when you're narrating an audiobook. So as far as I'm concerned, any kind of a performance is, but of course, more performances, some performances are more fun than others. As I mentioned, probably the most fun an audiobook narrator can have is when they're doing books for children, because most of them are just fun. They're fun to read. They're easy to read. They're silly. They got some very, very sweet characters. And when a narrator knows that the listener is going to really enjoy the book, and they can pretty much count on that because they're kids. That's why, going back to puppetry, the kids really appreciate your stuff. Adults, they're judgmental. Half of the adults will say, "Hey, that guy sounds pretty good," and the other half will say, "Hey, I don't believe that guy for a second." But so if in all of audiobooks, I would say that the most fun I've had has been reading for narrating for young readers, what they call 7 to 12, the 7 to 12 age. The most fun, definitely the most fun. And the least fun has been the books that are very, very dense, and the subject matter isn't the most fun. I've narrated a number of books about Alzheimer's, and
Oh,
and they're very, very detailed in terms of medical terminology and chemistry and all sorts of drugs and just a million different medical things. It gets very, very dense and arcane sometimes, and not particularly fun.
wow. That's amazing to think that they put those kind of books
Oh yeah.
on audio. But
Oh
I
yeah.
guess it like everything else, it's some people are great audio learners too. I mean, that's where they
Yes.
learn best.
Oh yes, absolutely. And audiobooks, again, the reason that there are double-digit sales in publishing is because people are now listening to audiobooks as they're commuting.
Yeah, and you can of course put it on your phone and listen to it as you go for a walk.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's right. Of going for a walk, going to commuting, going on a trip, whatever the case may be. And it's not just this year. It's been literally for the past 20 years plus. It's huge growth in audiobooks. But anybody who's interested in getting into audiobook narration, again, the doors are wide open. This is the golden age of audiobook narration.
Cool. So, how would you suggest people start? You said get in a group and maybe just kind of find out what's happening and look
Yeah.
on Facebook or look
Yes.
on
Yes,
Instagram.
exactly. If you're interested in voiceover, go onto Facebook and look over voiceover groups and see what ones look interesting. Or go LinkedIn, they've got voiceover groups as well. And you join the group, and then any questions, you post the questions, and the people in the group will answer you and get back to you and give you some perspective. and might refer you to different people. Oh, you want to study animation and do characters for cartoons? You want to study with this person. Oh, you want to do narration, documentary narration about Antarctica or Africa or whatever it is? You want to study with that person. I just want a general voiceover knowledge. Well, then you want to take a course with this guy. I want to do audiobook narration, and you want to study with that lady. And so they'll refer you. And of course, as you get into it, as you do your research, you'll start seeing the people, the leaders in the industry, the people who other people look up to, the icons, again, the veterans in the industry who've got a good reputation, a head on their shoulders, and are open and approachable to well, even a stranger who writes to you and says, hey, I was thinking of getting into this. What do you recommend? And then they'll do that.
Cool. So how would people get hold of you if they want to talk to you? I mean, definitely you could go get your book. And that's a good place to start. But what would you recommend for people who might want to actually get hold of you and find out what help you can provide?
There's an embarrassing amount of information about me. Not embarrassing that I'm embarrassed about it. It's embarrassed that there's so much. I couldn't believe it. My daughter said to me, I think it was last year, she said, Dad, you ever Google your name and see how many pages you got? I said, no, I don't, because again, it's a silly thing. But Marc, M-A-R-C, Cashman, C-A-S-H-M-A-N. So anybody who's listening to this will see my name on there. You can Google my name and there'll be pages, and you can go to see different things, of information about classes or coaching, or go to my website, which is Cashman Commercials, plural.com, CashmanCommercials.com, and my email address, Marc, M-A-R-C, at CashmanCommercials.com. And you can contact me any of those places, and I'll get back to you. I'll send you some information, and then if you're interested, you follow up and respond and let me know. I'm not one of those mass marketers. I'm not one of those people who has a whole series of classes that you can take, and things you could download, and lessons and pre-recorded stuff like that. There are a lot of people in the business who have that. I don't do that. To me, it's just a little bit cookie cutter. I don't teach that way. I work with people on an individual basis. I don't have a school per se, but I have taught at, as you mentioned earlier, the college and undergraduate and graduate schools at USC, UCLA, and CalArts. And again, my teaching style is I work one-on-one with people. I also have classes, online classes as well, but I work with all levels, veterans, beginners, everybody in between, but everybody is individualized. Everybody learns different ways. And that's why I don't have a lot of, again, pre-recorded anything or big packages to buy or anything else like that. It's just, it's one-to-one. Everything is one-to-one. And that's the way I like it.
Well, it's very refreshing to know that, you can work with someone as accomplished as you are, and you're so down to earth. It's really, really a complete pleasure to have had you on the show. And hopefully our listeners have had the opportunity and will continue to have the opportunity. It's the fun thing about doing a show like this. All of a sudden, it's there for posterity. It doesn't go away.
That's right. That's right. You can access it anytime, which is great.
So Mary, we try not to screw up too much.
and you did. Thank you, Mary. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. I really appreciate it. I hope you get a ton of listeners. And again, anybody who has any questions can contact me anytime, and I'll get back to you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. You take care. Stay well. Stay safe. Stay sane, and stay in touch.